Hello and welcome to the Moss Family Christmas light display. All this information will be on my website, mosslights.com, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what's new, what I've changed. Anyway, to get started, we have to have electricity. So my display, which was all done, all this electrical work was all done back in 2011, at least the breaker panels were, and then I added to it in 2012, added more circuit breakers. There's 26 breakers total for this display. There's 18 on this side, which each GFCI is on a 20 amp breaker. And then there's 8 home runs, 8 GFCIs that are up underneath the eave on the other side of the house. That's why you have all those top breakers there on the left. Anyway, I use the MP3 director to control my show. I've got roughly about 430 channels in my show alone. That's not including my neighbors that use another 6 boxes between them. So I have their show programmed in this as well. I have this this is a relay, basically a Z-Wave relay that hooks up to a home automation controller so that I can control this show, at least turning it on and off from my cell phone remotely. All of the main extension cords are 12 gauge extension cords which go out to the main controllers, and there's a couple of them. I roughly have about 80,000 lights on this display alone, not including my neighbors, with running about 247 amps when everything's on completely. So starting out, we'll start with the spiral tree. The spiral tree has a Holdman star, 3-channel Holdman star on top, and his directions, I've modified them just a little bit on how to make them. That'll be in another video. But my spiral tree is 3 controller boxes. Each controller box controls a color, so there's 16 white, 16 red, and 16 green strands on this tree alone. So starting out how to make this tree, I have just a 10-foot galvanized pole, 1 1/4 inch, goes up to a tree topper. The tree topper is a 16-prong tree topper. Each prong has a rope to it tied that comes down, which I'm holding on to right now, and goes into the ground into a spike. All of the ropes, so there's 16 ropes coming off of 16 prongs down to spikes that are in the ground. Now those spikes are an 8-inch spike, galvanized spike that I purchased from Home Depot. Anyway, so what I do is, after I create the cone with the ropes, then I attach one of each color to each prong, and the prong, then I spiral down 1.5 times down the tree, and it comes to a little pigtail that is on the end of each spike. And then once you get to here, those 3 strands then go to the middle of the tree and connect to their channel, to the channel, the correct channel in each box. This is the sign I've got. Self-explanatory. I do have cameras all over this display, in the display, that way they're very hard to see. But anyway, there's a 16 channel snowflake slash little mini tree line that I have. This is in my neighbor's yard, but this is actually part of it's all my equipment. Now my neighbors did do their flower beds. It's real hard to see. There's 4 channels across of white, 4 channels across of red, and they also have a spiral tree on the other side of their driveway. Their spiral tree is just 16 channels of white, which is also the same thing of the spiral tree on the other side of my neighbors. So all in all, there are 4 trees between the 3 neighbors that I've got here, but there's also a really small tree around the corner of the last house. There's actually 4 houses connected through Light-O-Rama. So going back to my display is the Starburst poles. The Starburst poles are 8 channels. There's 3 channels for the star, and there's 5 channels going down on the pole. Now this pole is using this sleeve method. As you can see, this is 1 sleeve. Those sleeves are the same dimensions as my arches. That way that whenever I pack this stuff away, I don't necessarily have to grab a particular set of poles just for the Starburst poles. They're all the same. The arches also use the sleeve method. You can see the gap right here. There is a 1/2 inch conduit inside of a, I think it's 3/4 inch outside sleeve, and then the Starburst pole is in the ground with just a rebar, and it fits over on top of the rebar and just slides down on top of it. Same thing with the arches. The arches just have rebar. They're 3 foot of rebar, so there's about, give or take, 18 to 20 inches in the ground, sticking up with just a little spike, and I just slide the inner 1/2 inch conduit over that. So going around to the grid, everybody wants to know about the grid. The grid is a 32 by 32 grid, meaning 32 strands across, 32 strands vertical. Now the horizontal going across, going this way, is 3 strands end to end. So it's actually 1.5 strands down to this spike, and then 1.5 back. So it's actually kind of doubled up, but there's only 1 strand going the vertical route, going back and forth. So the way I made this is I figured out my distance of how much I had from the end of my yard to here, and then divided it up and ended up putting spikes in at each interval. I did this kind of on an Excel spreadsheet to make it a little bit easier, so I figured out what the measurements were real quick. I made that the same for the vertical, which is, you can see the spikes running up and down here, and then the horizontal, which are the spikes running this way. It's also done on the other side, so I have a complete rectangle and the spikes line up with each other. I'll scoot back a little bit, and I've got my oak trees. My oak trees are covered in 2400 white lights and 2400 red lights. The crown of the tree is 2400 white and 2400 red. There's an airplane going over, a little hard to hear. The trunk has 600 red and 600 green. So coming over to the Magnolia tree, Magnolia is covered in white. No, excuse me, it's covered in red and green. And then the flower bed bushes have, it's all white and green. Same thing going across, down across all these. Now all these lights are put onto cages, which you can see from the back side. This is all one big cage. That way, 1, it picks it up off the ground, and 2, it's a lot easier to put lights onto these these plants over here, they just don't want to stick, so it makes it easier. The snowman snowball fight is a new element this year. The splat on the face is whenever they're throwing it across to each other, back and forth. Whenever it splats on the face, the hat falls off. That's why you got two hats set up. Or if he throws short, the splat lands down by the base. At night, it's real kind of difficult to see the frame, so that's why they're kind of painted black. In the future, I may make those wire frames. That way I can completely get rid of the black frame. I've got this little sign right here, which I made the little lights just to illuminate it. Not a whole lot, because you put too much light on a sign, then it just washes it out trying to view it from the street. And the grid, going back to this a little bit, there's two controllers, 32 for the horizontal, and then in the midst of all the controllers going down this way, two of the controllers are for the vertical grid, and then the rest of them are used for starburst poles and arches. The arches are an 8-channel arch as well. Moving over to my mega tree. My mega tree hasn't changed in the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. I use a topper at the very top that slides up and down the pole. It's real difficult to see in this video. But there's a winch that I use, and the winch actually has the cable go into the pole itself, and then it goes all the way at the pole, and there's a pulley inside the pole at the top, and it's real difficult to see, but you can kind of see the topper up there. It's a 16 prong topper, and also you got strobe lights. The other tree, the spiral tree, does have strobe lights, but this one, I've got two different kinds of strobes in this one just because of replacements. The black ones are actually, I think, about twice as bright as the white base ones. These, you do have to put weep holes in them, but all in all, I've had good luck with the strobes in this tree. Going up the tree, there's 16 red and 16 green strands using two controllers here. And these strands are actually 34 feet in length, so I have enough strand to go all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom, and have enough to get back to the center. So when they come back down here, they're connected to this conduit just with a zip tie, and then the conduit is held down with spikes. Those spikes that I was talking about earlier. Now on both sides of the sidewalk, I do have C9 lights. These C9s are 3 separate strands. That way that I can get them to walk or chase, whatever you want to call them. Those are just the 12 gauge extension cords, just like the rest of the show, feeding those two boxes. This is the small side of the flower bed. There's a cage down there, right here, that has white and red, and then the bushes up here is white and red. The magnolia tree is red and green. Then it brings me to the mini tree line, the fan above the garage, and also the light bar that I call it. Anyway, there's eight mini trees that go up and down. There's 16, 8 up and 8 down, so there's 16 total. There's 16 strands on the fan, and there's also 16 segments on the light bar. The light bar was made in 2 separate sections, so those are not sleeved. So it gives me a little bit of problem whenever I have to go and change lights. If I ever have to redo those, I'm going to do them in sleeves. But if you notice, on the fan. There's one strand that actually goes out to each tree, so I can create a design using that, or I can control it separately. Those are not on the same channel. I can control the tree separate from the fan, as well as the light bar. The icicle lights that are up there that also go down the other side of the house. My house is sectioned out in two different sections. One section of white on one side of the house, one section of white on the other side of the house. And then the same thing for red. It's also covered in red on one side of the house and red on the other side of the house, just overlaying on the white. So there's 4 channels just in the icicle lights. This is the other side of the house. I've got 3 controllers over here. This is the electricity coming in on this side of the house. Each GFCI is breakered on the other side of the house. There's 8 circuits over here. Those 2 yellow lines go out to the mega tree, and the rest of them are fed for these boxes right here. The way the mini trees are put on the house are with, they're basically upside, or tomato cages turned upside down, and then put on those 2 runners, those 2 boards, which the boards are tied to the house, not screwed to the house. That way I'm not screwing into the shingles. And then this line right here going up is for the 8 Christmas trees, the little mini trees on the other side of the house. And then there's this one right here that goes up this for this one, this side of the house. This is all covered by this magnolia tree. You can't see around the corner, but there's just a wad of wires over here. But looking at a different angle with the grid, as you can see, there's all the spikes down on this side. This is where everything connects in over here. All these boxes are daisy chained together with Cat 5 cable, just like everybody else does. I don't use any wireless linker boxes, because I guess I've got enough Cat 5 cable to kind of run wherever I need it to run, even all the way to my neighbors. I just daisy chain all the way across. There's a box actually sitting in the back of their flower bed with the blue wire that comes over here. And that's about the end of my display. This controller box feeds the oak trees, both oak trees. But all this is on my website. Which is mosslights.com, mosslights.com, mosslights.com. Or you can reach me at michael@mosslights.com. That's about it.